Hello, I'm Dr. Jimmy Gutman. Let's look at an interesting topic today, the immune system. What is the immune system? Well, there's so many definitions, but let's look at a real simple one. Think of your immune system as your body's primary defense system. Now, defense against what? Well, defense from something we call a foreign antigen. Classic examples would be a bacteria, or a fungus, or a virus, or a parasite. All of these are not supposed to be in your body. Now let's focus a little bit stronger on viral disease. Let's take a closer look at my favorite topic, glutathione and viral disease. If you go to PubMed, which is the most reliable source of original research, let's get an idea of how many publications have been posted there on this very subject. If you enter the key terms glutathione and virus into the search engine, you're going to get back somewhere around 3,500 different articles. And of course, it's important to know how many of these have looked at humans. If you add the filter human to that, you're coming up with almost 2,000 articles on this topic. That's a lot of research. So how does this all work? Well, let me give you a little course on the immune system. And for all the doctors out there, please forgive me. We're going to do this in 90 seconds. You ready? So today's subject is going to be me. You all know how I love to visit with you and be out there with you. And I'm hugging you and I'm shaking hands with you. And once in a while, someone is going to leave a little glob of viral particles on my finger. You see it there, that green thing at the end of the arrow. So now I'm carrying this virus. It's on my finger. And a little later on, I forget about hygiene and I rub my eye. This gives a viral particle the opportunity to get into my bloodstream. And almost immediately, you see that viral particle being surrounded by white blood cells. These are our frontline soldiers of the immune system, and they're going to try to destroy that viral particle. But in a short period of time, there might be hundreds or thousands, and after a while even millions of these viral particles. But I only have a certain number of white blood cells. Clearly they're going to be outnumbered. How do I continue the battle? Well, my white blood cells start to make clones of themselves. They multiply over and over and over again, trying to build up their numbers to win. And in their ideal situations, this division can take place 500 times. That's not 500 white blood cells. That's 500 divisions. So you can't even fit a number that large on your calculator. But here's the thing. When glutathione levels begin to fall, this process starts to slow down. And as Dr. Gustavo Bunos so eloquently wrote, the limiting factor for the function and clonal expansion of lymphocytes, our white blood cells, is their availability of glutathione. I like to put it a little bit simpler. Think of glutathione literally as food or fuel for your immune system. Bottom line, as glutathione levels fall, so does your immune function. So please, eat well, sleep well, wash your hands regularly, don't touch your face, minimize social habits like kissing and shaking hands, and finally, pay attention to your glutathione levels. I hope you've enjoyed this little explanation of the immune system, glutathione, and better still, I hope you picked up a couple of those tips on how to keep yourself healthy and avoid infections during these upcoming years. Looking forward to seeing you again soon. Welcome everybody. In a previous session we covered the major roles of glutathione, those being summarized by the acronym IDEA. You may remember that the I stands for the immune system, the D for detoxification, the E for energy, and of course A for antioxidant. In this video we'll be diving deeper into the D for detoxification, something that becomes increasingly important as time goes on. When Immunical was first discovered, the world population was 4 billion people. Now it's just about 8 billion people, an astounding doubling in size in one generation. And with this has come an exponential rise in pollution and toxins in the environment. According to the World Health Organization, a shocking 90% of all humanity live in places that exceed safe limits. And air pollution represents the 4th largest threat to human life. More than cancer, more than drug abuse, more than automobile accidents, and more than war. Now, how does our body deal with this? We're adaptable creatures, but even Mother Nature has its limits to abuse. We have built-in mechanisms to attempt to rid ourselves of toxins. We have major organs like the liver and kidneys that specialize in this area, but each and every single cell in our body has its own independent detoxification mechanisms. And key to all of this is our topic today, glutathione. What most doctors don't know, and what most people are not aware of, is that glutathione is also documented to be responsible for the detoxification of literally hundreds of substances in our environment. And this list grows year by year. The air that we breathe, the food that we eat, the water that we drink. Let's just look at a short list of what we depend on glutathione for their detoxification. Pesticides, herbicides, automobile fumes, cigarette smoke, heavy metals like mercury and lead, and the list goes on and on. Smoked or artificially flavored foods, pickled, barbecued or preserved meats, cleaning solutions, paint or carpets, radiation, dental amalgams. We are surrounded. We even have a list of new diseases in medical books that we call environmental diseases, like multiple chemical sensitivity, sick house syndrome. Even chronic fatigue syndrome has been linked to chemical exposures. An interesting fact is that it is no coincidence that the highest levels of glutathione appear in the liver, our major organ of detoxification. Levels are almost as high in the kidneys for the same reason. However, because of the bombardment of free radicals and toxins, these organs need help in doing their jobs. Fortunately, glutathione detoxifies these substances in a number of different ways. We can get into things like the different phases of liver detoxification that glutathione is involved in, but that would be beyond the scope of this lecture. If anybody's interested in diving into this topic, I welcome you to read my latest book on glutathione that covers this in detail. But to simplify, glutathione can detoxify by neutralizing free radicals. This is one of the common ways that poisons work, is through oxidative stress. Another way glutathione works is by making these toxins more water soluble, so they can be easily eliminated by the kidneys or digestive tract. A third possible way is by actually having glutathione bind to a toxin and carry it out of the body. This is what we call chelation, especially important for heavy metal cleansing. So glutathione really does offer multiple pathways towards a cleaner body. I like to tell people that next to water, there's probably no greater detoxification substance in our body than glutathione. Finally, a major answer to the question that is so often posed: why does a healthy person need to make sure their glutathione levels are optimized? Well, when it comes to detoxification, even the healthiest individuals are, on a second-by-second basis, exposed to agents in our environment that can adversely affect our health, our well-being, and our enjoyment of life. Raising glutathione is a must in this hazardous world. Be well, and more importantly, stay well. Welcome everybody. In previous sessions, we've covered the major roles of glutathione, those being summarized by the acronym IDEA. Just to remind you, the I stands for the immune system, the D for detoxification, the E for energy, and of course A for antioxidant. In this video, let's take a much closer look at something precious to all of us, E for energy, and how glutathione is so critical to keep us going strong throughout the day. If you want to get more into the topic, feel free to read the chapter on glutathione and energy in my latest book. There are so many ways in which glutathione gives you energy, from simply improving your health to more complex explanations on a tissue level like muscle strength, to a cellular level like the elimination of toxins, and even right down to a molecular level where things like a single atom or electron are considered. Now, who hasn't felt tired for no reason, or didn't wish to have more energy to get through the day or even the next hour? How many people have actually visited their doctor for a medical consultation and been told, we can't find anything wrong with you, or you must just be getting older, or better still, it's all in your head? All of these at times may be true, but as science and research has taught us over the past little while, we absolutely need to consider glutathione as part of the process. There's so many clinical studies that have shown that glutathione levels are correlated with improved physical performance, with improved mental performance, even with better sleep. But we're going to go much deeper into the actual mechanisms today by which our body, our very cells, derive their energy. So a little biology lesson would be appropriate here. A body is made up of specialized parts like skin, bones, lungs, liver. Each of these components are constructed of unique tissue, and each of these tissues are made up of specialized cells. So a cell is a basic building block of your body. But this begs the question, what makes up a cell? Well, each cell itself has its own unique parts. Some for storing genetic information like the nucleus of a cell, some geared to manufacture proteins like our ribosomes. So is there a cellular machine devised to produce energy? In fact, there is. It's called a mitochondria. Of course, although our mitochondria play a number of different roles, think of these mitochondria like little batteries which are needed to provide power to the cell in which it lives. Cells that sit around not doing much, like a fat cell, have very few mitochondria. Liver cells, which are actively metabolizing biochemicals 24/7, can have thousands of mitochondria because they require more energy. Without getting into a complicated discussion of biochemistry, let's look at a few basic truths about energy production. Whether it's a nuclear station or a campfire, energy production always results in two consequences. Number one, heat, and number two, waste products. Consider a gasoline engine. It requires water cooling or the engine will eventually overheat, and it requires an exhaust to carry away the burnt fuel. Our mitochondria are not dramatically different. As they produce energy for our cells, they too produce excess heat and waste products in the form of free radicals. Just to remind you, a free radical is what causes oxidative stress, and we've learned in the past that the major substance in our body that fights oxidative stress is our good friend glutathione. Mitochondria are absolutely dependent on glutathione to handle the heat produced and to neutralize the potential damage done by free radicals and oxidative stress. It's our master antioxidant, the glutathione, once again to the rescue. Without it, our mitochondria literally would burn up and stop functioning. The easier our cells have access to good supplies of glutathione, the better our energy production will be. Keep your engines running cool. To health. Antioxidant, a word that may have been unusual 30 years ago, but now has made it into our everyday language. In fact, a whole new field of research in medicine has evolved around antioxidants, and it's called free radical biology. This science has described hundreds of health conditions that depend on antioxidants for their protection. And to date, somewhere between 2,000 and 4,000 antioxidant compounds have been identified. So we're not going to spend a lot of time right now explaining the details of how antioxidants work, but let's start off by saying that antioxidants work against oxidation. Antioxidant. So in order to know what an antioxidant does, we need to know what an oxidant or oxidation is. Here are a few examples. When iron rusts, that is oxidation. When butter goes bad or rancid, that's oxidation. When you cut an apple and in 20 minutes or so it turns brown, that's oxidation. So am I suggesting that you and I are rusting, going bad, and turning brown? Yes. Just look at the back of the hand of your grandmother. Those spots you see are human tissues being damaged by oxidation. Now, I'm not terribly concerned about the appearance of her hand, but when I see that, it worries me because the same process can be taking part in her lungs, in her heart, in her brain. But unfortunately, oxidation is a consequence of being alive. When we eat, when we breathe, when we exercise, when we sit in the sun, all of this produces what are called free radicals. And free radicals lead to oxidation. Again, the production of free radicals leads to oxidation. And when we produce free radicals, we set off a chain reaction where each free radical can turn whatever else it touches into another free radical, kind of like the zombies of molecular biology. Let's take a closer look. Here we see a bunch of nasty free radicals on one side and a group of nice healthy cells nearby. and a free radical drifts over and touch is one of the healthy cells. And after a short while, remember, when a free radical touches another molecule, it can turn it into a free radical and so on. So you end up with a damaged cell full of free radicals. And of course, you see that that cell is touching another cell. And that cell is touching yet another cell. And voila, you end up with, here you go, a black spot on the back of your hand or in your brain. So how do we stop this process? We could call on the cavalry, our good friends, the antioxidants. And here we show the original antioxidant most of us have heard of, vitamin C, looking suspiciously like a Pac-Man, and you'll see why in a moment. So here's the vitamin C, and the vitamin C will go ahead and grab onto that free radical and try to neutralize it. Well, that's great. The problem is that although it's neutralized the free radical, it's also neutralized itself. You see, its mouth is full and it can't do anything else. So at this point in time, if nothing else happens, we will just expel this free radical antioxidant complex. And what evidence do we have that we get rid of this? Well, have you ever looked at the color of your urine after you've taken a vitamin C pill? That's what you're seeing. You're peeing out your vitamin C free radical complex. And if this process stopped here, we would have to be eating fruits and vegetables all day long to keep on top of clearing out our free radicals. Well, there's something else going on that allows us not to continually have to keep eating tons of antioxidants. Now, up to this point, many people watching this will probably know this, but I'm going to show you something now that will be new to most people. Watch this. The vitamin C can find a glutathione molecule or a complex of glutathione molecules, and watch what happens. It hands the free radical off to the glutathione system. And there you go. It's liberated to continue to do more work. So it picks up another free radical and the process can continue over and over again. And what's happening is that glutathione is recharging, re-energizing, it's recycling that vitamin C molecule. So we get many, many more miles out of it. So here's the thing, it's not just vitamin C that it does this to. Every single antioxidant known to man, and as we mentioned, there's between 2,000 and 4,000 different ones, do the same thing. They unload their free radicals to glutathione. And this is the primary reason that we call glutathione the master antioxidant. Because all the other known antioxidants cannot work with the presence of glutathione. Glutathione is the spring in the clockwork that drives all of our antioxidant processes. But that's not all. It may be enough to make you want to go out and raise your glutathione levels because all of your fruits and vegetables and supplements will work better. But there are other reasons to call glutathione the master antioxidant. When you think of antioxidants, what comes to mind? Well, certainly vitamin C and vitamin E, but there's so many others. Just visit your local pharmacy or health food store, visit Costco, and you'll find shelves of different antioxidants. What sets these apart from glutathione is that all of them come from what you eat. If you don't eat vitamin C, if you don't eat vitamin E, your body does not make them. They don't appear naturally. Guess what the major naturally occurrent antioxidant in your body is? The one made by each cell. Of course, glutathione. In fact, all known living creatures must produce their own glutathione in order to exist. Plants, animals, birds, you name it. Here's another reason why glutathione is called the master antioxidant. It's a little bit more technical, but absolutely fascinating. When other antioxidants neutralize a free radical, they themselves become a free radical. Glutathione is the only antioxidant that does not become a free radical after it performs its job. I bet most of you didn't know that. I'll put together another video showing how this actually happens, so stay tuned. So let's just summarize. Number one, all antioxidants depend on glutathione for their normal function. This is the primary reason why it's called the master antioxidant. Number two, it's the antioxidant your body actually makes itself. Other antioxidants like C and E must be eaten to be in your body. Number three, it's the only antioxidant that does not turn into a free radical after it's spent. So please, please take advantage of this information. Do your mind and your body a big favor. Raise your master antioxidant glutathione and feel the difference. The health.